You're listening to a podcast on the Podfix Network.
Welcome to Little Bits and Pieces. I am one of your hosts, one of the three of Walrus, Matt Walker, and with me, as always today,
Jeffrey Fella. Yeah, take that, Christian.
And Christian Torres.
Hey, you know, we get closer every time. But the listener would
I thought we were gonna nail it this time, and then Jeff added like a commentary after his name.
No.
When hasn't Jeff added? He adds it before his name and also after his name,
thereby preventing me from getting any sense of timing on it.
Exactly.
This benefits a lot from market research that I've done on behalf of Walrus, and I continue to send you guys that market research. I'm guessing no one has reviewed it. I sent a really good deck. I put together some really good collateral.
Yeah,
there.
Sure. What is it? What is the research?
Just that people really like when I put stuff in front and behind my name.
Nah, I don't look at the only decks I'm looking at are Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Okay, good. I thought you
I
say
wrote
other things.
What?
I
what
wrote
did you
this.
write?
I wrote it on Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I wrote the marketing.
Fucking dope. Dope
Yeah.
as fuck. Bring it out. Let me read what's on that Dark Magician.
It's in the mail. You'll be receiving it. It's all on whatever the cheapest cards I could find were, though.
I'll also say, of course, the listener has no idea because I still edit it so it sounds seamless, even the ones where we comment on it, because God, just hearing the pauses just kills me when I edit these.
Oh, I think it's the listener. Again, market research shows the listener actually likes pauses. It allows them time to reflect.
Yeah, well, I'm the first listener of this thing every time.
Right, and you hate reflection
hate
because
it.
what you see.
See, but you know who we are, and like the pauses give people time to like Google. Oh, who is Jeffrey Fella?
Right.
It's like,
And they're gonna
you
like
think
what they
I'm
find.
adding pauses?
Which I wanted to thank you for. I've listened to the podcast. There's a really nice 30-minute pause from start to end.
yeah, we should add like asterisks and like footnotes, like in old comics, like when you used to read them, and it's like, if you want to see why the Fantastic Four are here, read this comic, and you could do that for like Jeff, where it's like.
Do you know how, what a volume knob is?
Jeff, you're pulling the curtain down just a smidge. Just like you had to turn your volume down a second ago.
Because he left that the reason we like paused was so that he could edit that out and like just jumped right back to the part where he said,
I get it.
okay,
but
we'll
I thought
edit
this
that
could
out.
be a learning opportunity. So a
Sure.
volume knob
For
is
me?
for everyone. It's a potentiometer, which is a scaling resistor, and as you increase the resistance, you reduce. I really don't want to say something wrong here.
No, let's pause it. Let's just pause again.
Yeah.
Pause again. Yeah, that's fucking wild, man. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the fact that you brought up volume knobs, not an uninteresting thing that you had to say.
Sure.
Not an but. If for the listener, if out of left field, if we
I tried to give you a very vague phrase to just cut back.
Yeah.
No, here, let me give I got the
But
vague
I
phrase.
also want to say, how many times have you in your lifetime gone, that's wild, man?
A lot, actually. I say it a lot. That's why I used it as my go-to phrase.
I want a tie-in. I can do the tie-in.
All right, do you want to pause again?
Yeah, let's pause.
Yeah,
let's
pause.
Okay, let's pause again.
Pause.
Hold, and this will be where I edit. I'm not going to edit.
Matt, if that's true, you should probably be in jail.
Hold on, what's he gonna put? Well, what's he gonna put that against though? Because it's not that we would have a break in time. It's that this would get put next to something we already said. So
I will have just said, "Oh, cool, that sounds cool," and then
you'll have said,
"I don't know, Matt. That sounds like something you should be in jail or whatever the fuck you said."
Yeah.
Do you understand? Do you understand what's happening? Do you understand?
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Fella. Thanks for
I'm
coming
Christian
on the show
Torre.
tonight. Oh, sorry, Christian. I
God
talked over
damn
you
it. God damn it. The editing I'm going to have to do on this. God
You
damn it.
just cut out the whole.
No, I'm going to keep it all is what this means. And then you guys are going to look like idiots because, well, not you guys. Jeff is going to look like an idiot because he
I
didn't
look
read the
very smart.
goddamn chat in the Zencaster.
So what the Cowboys can't see right now is I'm wearing a lab coat and a monocle. So I look very smart.
Yeah.
You look smart, but looks are deceiving, my friend. Do not.
He is
Looks can
He is
kill.
shocking somebody and telling people that they need to increase the voltage every few moments. It's a really I'm doing it.
It's
You're
called.
doing the Stanford experiment.
No, that's a different one. I'm doing the Milgram
Oh, yes,
experiment.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it took me a second to remember the name, but yeah, the Milgram experiment where a guy in a lab coat goes, "No, the experiment must continue. Shock them." And
Yeah, and then screams from the other room, and they still do it.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Anyway, today I thought we could talk about a long form that I just did the other day, and that I think we've all done that, right? The monoscene.
Yeah.
Not in a while, but yeah.
Really?
But it's
Yeah,
a
I've
classic,
done
though.
it
It's
before,
a
sure.
classic long form.
Classic scene. Or form. Well, and scene.
Yeah.
It's
One scene.
the same thing. Which, of course, for the listeners, if you're not aware, a monoscene is a long form that is set in one location. The characters can change and leave and come, but it's always in that exact same location for however long the set is. Mark Sutton and Joe Bill have a great example of it called Bass Prov.
Oh, yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, where they're in a canoe fishing the entire time, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of variations on the monoscene. Like I've seen differing variations where
Really?
like I'm trying to remember what it was even called, but I remember doing a college one where it was where like once you got into it, it was a monoscene, but like the way they got into it was a little different. It was like heavy on like scene painting kind of stuff and things like that. So I feel like you see a lot of different like I feel like the monoscene is one of those classics where it's like the way they say like, oh yeah, there's only like 6 different stories. I feel like there's really only a couple different long forms, and I feel like the monoscene is one of them that like.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also think that I don't know. What do you think of that? I also feel like one of the qualifiers for being a monoscene is actually it is just the same characters in the same location, and they don't leave. Right?
Oh, interesting. So you don't allow for entrances and exits in your monoscene.
I mean, I do, but I guess if it's just in one location, it's like you could literally do anything. If it's like a gym, you could be 2 dudes working out, and then you could just be a lady and a guy that work at the gym.
Oh, I see. I think I've seen monoscenes happen, especially ones with larger casts, where it almost plays more like a farce or something, where it is like a narrative and there's the characters' entrances and exits, but they sometimes do play different characters and whatnot. I've seen them happen in that way, where a lot of it is in like, the kind of like. I almost consider like a landmark of the monoscene classic example. Finding reasons to leave a scene is like always a classic example I think of as in a monoscene, where it's like I gotta go, and then kind of quick leaves. And
I gotta take a shit.
Right. That's the big one.
A lot of your characters say that, Matt.
Name another one.
Another one of your characters?
Yeah, name one character.
You have that character Dave. He's a janitor. You do him a lot, and he'll like come into a scene, and you start to stutter. Like someone will give you a suggestion, and you'll stutter, and it kind of looks like you don't. And I'm not accusing you of this, of course, but it looks like you don't know what to say, and then you say that line, and you walk off out of the scene, and it's just always kind of weird because it's like. I mean, if I didn't know better, and of course I know better, it's like you don't know how to do a scene, and so you're just looking for an out.
I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Jeff raises a good point. You do that a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's just say I don't think you know what you're talking about.
This would have been a good time for you to say the line and then mute your mic.
Yeah. I mean... To someone like you, maybe. hack.
with comedic timing. Yeah.
I mean, with formulaic tendencies towards kind of hack.
What
content.
if you have a character that's a magician that needs to disappear in the monoscene a whole bunch? What would you say about that, Matt?
Ooh, that's a montage. Just kidding.
And that's a montage, and that's a montage.
And that's a montage.
I'm just watching, I'm like, well, if that magician disappears, this is a montage. Whenever I watch a magician monoscene.
And I will fail my students.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Every monoscene can become a montage with one mistake.
Every scene is one mistake away from becoming a montage. Yeah.
It's such a dumb but kind of true thing.
So what makes you like the monoscene? Do you like the monoscene?
I love the monoscene. One thing that our initial training in college built into us is we would do this exercise all the time where it's like a timer would be set and you'd run the timer and the scene could not end until the timer went off. Right? So you didn't know if it was going to be 20 seconds long or 10 minutes long. So the idea was like, you need to give a scene legs enough to last for 10 minutes, but you also have to do the scene justice just in case it ends in 20 seconds. So it's like this idea of you're constantly finding something else out, right? But with the given information, it's like you're playing game in a microcosm and then also in the macrocosm of the whole thing. But it's very character driven too. What, Jeff?
Well, I'm just thinking, in a way, isn't most long form just a collection of monoscenes?
That's multiple scenes. A mono. Yeah, I mean,
like a relationship between two people is just one person and one person in a sense.
Wait, what the fuck are you even talking about?
And it's the same with like a monos.
Oh my god, his eyes have rolled back into the back
of
his head.
A relationship between two people is just a relationship between a person and a person. Is that what you said?
And a montage is just a collection of monoscenes, like a family of monoscenes.
Look, sure.
It is. What do you think about the accidental monoscene? Well, I guess the answer is this sucks, right? We all know. When it's like...
What? No. I feel like that happens all the time.
No, but like when it's like a scene goes... Because... So I guess from my perspective, one of the things with the monoscene, like when it's done well, it's fantastic, of course. It can be really good and you get to see a lot of stuff. And we do see a lot of that happen. There's a couple performers that we know that kind of specialize in doing their monoscenes, and they're really, really fun. And everybody has a weird name for their version of what their monoscene looks like when it really is just a monoscene. But I don't like when you have a scene that just, because there's also the tendency to drag on, right? Like you'll see like if it's an inexperienced improviser, handling it. I think a monoscene does like require some sort of, because the worst thing in improv is watching something that drags on. That's just like, that's just, it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
I guess I think of that as more of like the problem there isn't necessarily the monoscene. The problem there is like things just dragging on, it's I don't necessarily know to what Matt was saying earlier. I don't necessarily know that everybody is comfortable being in a scene for a really long time, because especially I think when you get those monoscenes, a lot of people, I think people are trying to leave, like they're trying to get off stage sometimes, because like I gotta get off stage, I gotta go, I gotta be somewhere, right? I gotta be somewhere else right now. I've been on too long, I need to go. When I'm doing a monoscene, I prefer duo monoscenes all day every day over a bigger cast monoscene.
I feel like the best monoscene I saw was a group, I don't even know who they were or anything, but they were at the UCB training center lounge stage or whatever, and it was like 7 people, and it was so well done. It was like a sitcom. They all very quickly defined what their thing was, and they were all meeting up for a bachelor party in this guy's basement, right? And it was like one guy was, and it was so great because, the information kept spiraling, and it's like, dude, you don't deserve your wife or whatever, like that kind of stuff. And it'd be like, what, dude? You can't say that to me, man. And everyone's like, whoa, they just were masters at picking sides. But I think there's something.
I was gonna say that's Punchy Tigers.
Punchy Tigers.
Yeah, the group is Punchy Tigers.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah,
They're
Punchy
good.
Tigers. They're great.
Yeah.
Punchy Tigers, solid team.
A lot of stuff at the UCF Lounge.
UCB. He said UCB.
UCB.
Yeah, I would love to watch an improv scene at the UCF Lounge.
Yeah.
It's one letter. What? I don't.
Yeah,
is there
but
a difference?
one letter difference is
world difference in this case.
Difference. One's a college, Jeff, and the other one is a
place
training ground for improvisers.
Oh, so like a college?
I thought UCF was fighting. I thought that's isn't that
Oh,
what am I
was
thinking? What am
University
I thinking?
of
What am I
Central
thinking
College, Florida. I mean,
no, UFC. You're thinking
UFC.
fighting.
Jesus, were we all thinking of different things?
But we all knew it was the Punchy Tigers.
Sure. Yeah. Somehow that was the correct name.
But that's why they were punching, because they were in a fight.
Well, I don't get it.
The thing that is so interesting to me is and I think this is why newer improvisers aren't good at this and they're not as comfortable in the scene, is they think things like status and motivations and like things like character traits aren't fluid. They think that they are static and they never change. And it's like in a monoscene, you have to have character development. It's just like watching a TV show. If the whole thing, nobody ever changed, that would be a sitcom,
Right.
Which is how you described the monoscene you just described was like a sitcom, and you said it was good. So I'm a little
no, but they
here,
changed. Things
confused.
changed. Things changed.
So not like a sitcom.
Yeah, that's what I. That's what I just said.
Okay, I'm pretty sure the listener must be pretty confused right now, but we're all convinced that you're an idiot. Continue.
Oh, okay.
I do think in general that is a general good piece of advice, is going into scenes with a willingness to change, like with a willingness to really alter, because you can only like if we're thinking in a simple way, it's like if you're coming in playing mad, it's like you can only escalate that so much before you're just
right.
Before you've exhausted it and stuff. And so it's like you do need to be willing to play with gradients and play with nuances and shift and turn emotions from one thing into another while still maintaining integrity of the character.
So what do you think of this? That like classic idiom of like, no one's watching the scene about the bike being fixed to see the bike get fixed.
Sure.
Like, and usually what that saying means is like, don't worry about fixing the bike. But the change and the motivation and all that stuff being fluid is almost like, sure, fix the bike. Who gives a shit?
Right.
We don't care about that. So just go ahead and fix it. And I feel like that's an important energy to bring into the mono scene, as well as, people also don't have to change, but it's like just two people butting heads or two people agreeing is like, well, that's boring as hell, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that can be true, not even just of mono scenes. I think it's particularly important in mono scenes. I don't know. In general, I think in a mono scene, every flaw gets magnified, right? Because there is no swipe. There's no like go to the next thing. So if you're making a diamond and you cut it wrong, you better believe that the master jeweler is going to catch that. And so
who's the master jeweler? Is that the audience?
It's God.
Okay.
And
we are his jewels.
And so on the other end of that, though, because I remember there was this really good class that focused on the phrase, surrendering the MacGuffin, but the idea that it's a similar idea, though, right? The thing that like is happening that's not what it's about, right? That's not what people, and that can even be true in a really short scene, not a blackout, but if you have not a short scene, but let's say a medium length scene in a montage, you're hitting in 2 minutes or so in that scene already. you really do want to surrender the thing that got you there pretty quickly, because you're right. Like, the audience isn't there to watch. I can't think of anything to disparage you here, so we'll just stick with the bike thing. Yeah, people don't want to. It's true, but I think for the monoscene in particular, it's just more obvious because
that's a good
everything
point.
is.
I mean, I definitely bring that into everything. People think status is this thing that never changes, and I'm like, how can that be true? Like, you can be the CEO and get disgraced the next day or the next moment.
Right. And they should. All of them.
Billionaires shouldn't exist.
Amen.
Trillionaires, I think they've earned it somehow.
If you can get to trillionaires without being a billionaire, you can exist.
You're
you
cool,
can
dude.
exist.
Yeah, you're allowed.
If you could just skip.
Yeah. What if that was everybody's argument? It's like, millionaires shouldn't exist, and they're like, this was everybody's argument. It's like, where do we make the cutoff? And I'd be like, $1 billion. That makes sense. And it's like, but what if we like addendum and a compromise? It's like, if you get $1 trillion though, that's fine.
Because I think it would be even more impressive if you could get $1 trillion without having $1 billion first. Like, if you can go from like what you have now to $1 trillion immediately. Without spending one single day as a billionaire, I think you deserve it.
I do want to meet the guy who's like very anti-billionaire, but like totally fine with trillionaires. Billionaires shouldn't exist. Trillionaires are fine. Who cares? Like, that's kind of cool.
It's like going so far deep that it's like, oh, it's fine.
Yeah. That's always the monoscene to me is one of the things that makes it really great. Is when you make huge assumptions, like leaps of logic, because that's how you uncover things suddenly, I used to, like, I don't even remember all the exercises we did in college, Jeff, but there were a few that were basically like,
push-ups.
Like the surrender, the MacGuffin, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups.
Pull-ups, yeah.
The 3 most important
trifecta,
exercises.
Yeah. I had really good delts in college.
Yeah. But the idea of like coming in, and if someone's like, it's like just assuming what that sigh's about, of like, I'm sorry I didn't water your plants while you were out of town.
Right.
And it's like, because that's how you move shit forward, I guess. And that's good for everything, but I think in particular.
I think that's, again, it's sort of like, you really just, if you could do a monoscene well, you should be fine with the other forms of improv. Like,
right.
A monoscene really is where you're putting your heels to the fire and you're going for it,
Let's next time we're together, let's do the monoscene.
No, well, Jeff. I'm saying this to say that we know.
You're just scared.
Because once you're good at it, you can do anything.
And I don't want that power. It can't be trusted.
Actually, I agree with that. I don't think Jeff should have that in his mental resume.
Can do anything.
Yeah.
That's a fun mental resume. That's a fun concept.
A mental resume?
Sure.
Is it like a mantra, I guess, or something? Or like a...
Not to shift gears, but what do you think about duo scenes?
I like them.
I love them. I've done duos for a long time.
Gotta have them.
No, not duo. Duo in the sense
of the
duo in the sense
cold
of
stone sizes now.
Instead of yeah, okay. That joke was better than whatever I was going for. That's fine.
I love the resignation that comes with being talked over sometimes. It's like, yeah, that's good. That was better. I should have shut up.
I think this is how the death cage match whatever is born, is their recognition that there is something inherently competitive in comedy. Like, not always, but there can be, where it's really like you really are just trying to, like, the whole rule of threes is just one-upping each other, right?
Yeah,
like
it's
at a certain level
yourself.
Are you saying like the cage, just like a normal cage, or do you say, because you said death cage match, are you gonna find like a Squid Game style situation?
Are you're
where
blending
afterwards
UFC?
They die
again.
I want the most from my improv, and if I know that the bad improviser dies at the end of that scene, then I'm having a good time.
You would theoretically bring your A game every time, like artistically for the world. If the stakes were at their highest, like we might get the best comedy ever.
Well,
we get packed crowds too because everybody's really marketing on so they don't die.
It's the ultimate bringer show. It's the ultimate.
Improv would be, I think there would be less improvisers though, unless we make it an incentive, like it's tied to food,
right? Or it's like it's like required by the government, like
sure,
you have to
something
improvise.
like that.
It's
I see. You're describing the Hunger Games.
yeah.
I mean, this is not a trope the Hunger Games invented, but sure.
Yeah, we could do our own Hunger Games.
We could do a Hunger Games improv show. Yeah, where there'd be
in the wild, running around doing scenes with ourselves until we run into other people.
And it'll be like a team will meet and they'll do a scene.
Yeah.
And then it'll be like, oh, they did better. And it'll be like, and then it'll just be like fireworks and like,
and they die. But it's all no edits.
They don't even die. It's just
no edit. No edits. One scene.
No edits. yeah. You can sprint to the thing and get props if you want.
That's what's in the cornucopia is props.
Yeah, just like pool noodles and like giant dice.
Matt, did you read the book or watch the movie?
I watched the movies. I was just curious. I wanted to call
the books.
You out.
I've never read them. They're on my bookcase right now.
I've also never. Sarah really for couples out there, Sarah's my wife. Sarah really wants me to read the books. It's been but right now we're going through Lord of the Rings, which makes it sound like we've been reading Lord of the Rings for a while now, which I guess we have.
It does.
So I guess it sounds like that because it's true.
Well, that brings a close to our fourth to this episode of Little Bits and Pieces.
Don't number them. You might have to change it up.
I have to number them later. You're right. But just want to remind everybody that we have our TikTok. Did you guys know about this? A TikTok.
Ooh.
We've got an Instagram. We got you can subscribe to the podcast, rate and review us. You can do all sorts of stuff.
Tell them about our WebMD page, Matt.
We have a WebMD page, and the prognosis is bad. If you've got us, you've fucked up.
You got not us, a lot of time.
Yeah. But yeah, just thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, cowboy.
Bye. Hi, I'm Christian Torres from Walrus. If you're interested in supporting this show, the best thing that you can do is rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure to check out walrus.com, that's WALLARES, for a full list of our socials, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Stay tuned for news about any live shows that we may have, and new episodes of Little Bits and Pieces come out every Thursday wherever you get your podcasts.
The show you've just listened to is a part of the Podfix Network. To listen to other shows on the network, head over to podfixnetwork.com, follow on Twitter @Podfix, and join the Podfix Nation at facebook.com/Podfix.